Desmond Greaves, who was editor of the Irish Democrat and the chief ideologist, if we like to say, use that word, of the Connolly Association, was the person who it's fair to say that he thought up the idea of a civil rights movement, the idea of concentrating on civil rights as the way to undermine unionism and expose the reactionary character of the Northern Ireland regime.
It was perhaps one of the most significant political movements that emerged in this country in the last 2 centuries.
50 years ago yesterday, you had the RUC assault on the Duke Street demonstration, the march in Duke Street, Derry, which was televised by RTE and which brought the deplorable civil rights situation in the north to British and to mass British and to world attention.
Eamon has many, many fine qualities, and I have a great admiration for him in many things, but the fact that he would be surprised that Northern Ireland would explode into violence is baffling.
This, I think, was put very vividly last month in RTE's programme, which Owen Harris called Miriam O'Callaghan in America, which some of you may have seen. You know, the suggestion was that there was an immolation of the civil rights movement in America in the north at that time. I think this is it's not really an explanation. It's an attempted explanation by people who don't really want to do the work of finding out what really happened.
And that civil rights was, if you like, some sort of ethnic aberration, that the natives were just waiting, gagging to get into violence.
69 was seminal in the sense that the bulk of the dead were on the nationalist, Catholic or Republican side and inflicted by the forces of the state.
NICRA had one member of the Communist Party on it, but the fact that there was one member of the Communist Party on it made it a communist organisation.
This precipitated the resignation of 4 members of the Civil Rights Executive, more moderate, including Betty Sinclair and 3 others. And then the march was called off. But there was a shift in the policy and orientation of the Civil Rights Executive at that time.
And had operated in a way which was detrimental to the interests of democratic struggle, because there were people who didn't know the first thing about what was involved in democratic struggle.
I wasn't expecting to come to a stand-up comedy routine here, but I certainly got one.
Those who were involved in the Connolly movement here at the time born Tala, we said a bunch of middle-class tossers out of Queen's University decided they were going to lead a revolution. Same time of middle-class tosser students that were leading revolutions in their own imagination in Paris and in the United States and everything else. The new lad, they read a few chapters of Herbert Marcuse and go out to change the world for a few years before they got back into Daddy's firm.
Effectively, the SDLP had sundered its connections with NICRA by that stage and was setting itself up consciously as a rival.
Opposing Brexit, the Sinn Féin leadership aligned itself with the Tory government of Britain, led by Mr. Cameron, with Obama in America, with Goldman Sachs, with the Brussels Commission, with the City of London. All these people did not want Brexit.
We have now reached a situation where that state, or the statelet, or the political entity is clearly being shown to have run its course. It's a failed entity, it's a failed political entity. It was a failed and failing political entity from the day it was formed.